the people that you will meet at this company that can change the trajectory of your life. And that's continued to happen with myself as I've met more and more people, and I've watched this company evolve over the last 7.5 years. It's incredible what we've accomplished.
Welcome to my podcast, where I chat with real estate agents. We talk about their success, challenges, and the strategies they're using in today's market, and tips for anyone to be successful in this competitive and rewarding field. Whether you are a new agent or a seasoned veteran, just curious about the industry, this podcast is for you. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Ian Flanningan. Welcome to the show, Ian. You want to introduce yourself to the people and mention the primary markets you're out of?
Hey, Laura. Great to be on the podcast today. So thanks for having me. Yeah, I live in the Dallas, Texas area, Plano, which is about 20 minutes north of downtown Dallas. Been in real estate for, 18 years, primarily as an investor. Didn't even have a real estate license the first decade I was buying and selling homes. So bought, renovated, and sold over 100 houses, raised funds, did all kinds of fun stuff on the investing space. And I guess it got to the point where I had a lot of people asking me about traditional sales and having a lot of referrals. I figured I'd get a license to refer business to. So it's been interesting. Here we are all this time later, and I'm, primarily focused on the brokerage side, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I'm still investing. I'm part of multifamily new construction projects. I've been flipping houses for years. So a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Okay, awesome. So glad to hear that you have such a wide variety of real estate experience. As far as the agent side goes, how many different brokerages have you been with through your time, and what made you decide to join eXp Realty?
Yeah, I started with Keller Williams just because I had some friends there, and it was recognizable. It was familiar. It was easy. Obviously, I didn't really understand the inner workings of the models from not having a license and then going over there. And then I started closing transactions through that office, and I would just look at the settlement statements or my commission settlement statement, so to say, from the broker. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much money going out the door with fees and royalties and split and everything else that was added. And just like a lot of agents that are productive, I already had a real estate background, so I didn't necessarily need the coaching and the training that some of the companies offer. So I went to a flat fee shop, and Andrea and Von Sutton were local brokers. I saw them when I was working on my real estate license. They came in as a vendor, and I always remembered Andrea. She was super nice, and they had a flat fee model, and I was with them for a couple of years. It's nice, closing a transaction and paying $250. You close a $10,000 commission, you're keeping, a big chunk of it. And then a friend of mine who was actually a coaching client that I had named Pat Hayes, I started seeing some posts about agent-owned cloud brokerage. I didn't really pay much attention to it in the beginning, just because I was so busy with, what I was doing here locally. I had a coaching company that was national, and we were traveling all over the country doing bus tours in different markets and teaching people how to raise capital, buy houses, and renovate them and resell them. And then he said a couple keywords for me that were my hot buttons were, as you know, Laura, as you're working with investors, you're looking for equity and you're looking for cash flow. So he said, hey, you can build equity and cash flow with your real estate license. And I was like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How's that even an option? Because at the time, there was no option to park your license with a broker and build equity and actually build cash flow in addition to commissions. So that's what it was for me in the beginning. And here we are, 7.5 years later, and it has just been a rocket ride. So yeah, I'm at my third and final destination. I'm at my forever brokerage, have the golden handcuffs on. It's what I've built at the company is incredible. So there's no way that I would walk away from that, because the way that Glenn set this up is I'm able to pass this to my family. So very unique. And a lot of, companies are trying to copy that model, and we'll kind of dig into all that other stuff here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm at my third and final destination. It's been a heck of a ride. And any agent can build at the company. It's just what your desires are and what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? And does this company align with what you're trying to accomplish? So that's what I would say to most agents.
Awesome. Yeah. So you are definitely a little bit farther along than the agent that has just come in or getting accustomed to the agent work, right? So you're talking about things on the business level, trying to move from being that transactional agent to just worrying about the next transaction you're building your business now. And so can you talk a little bit about, you obviously participate in the revenue share program, which is partnering with other agents. How has that been for you? What does your group look like? How many agents do you have? How has that impacted your, like you mentioned, multiple streams of income and all that? How does that factor into
Yeah,
your?
it's been incredible. And I'll kind of start from the beginning. When we were introduced to eXp Realty, there was some very significant individuals that were pioneering eXp Realty here in Texas. And one was named Gene Frederick. And Gene Frederick sold Keller Williams franchises for over 20 years. And he helped pioneer and grow Keller Williams to the behemoth that they had grown to up into the, all through the 2000s and up into 2015. And he was the first big partner to actually make an exit out of Keller. And he sold his regions and he sold his offices. And he became our first broker here in Texas. And the story that they were sharing and the dream and the vision that they were casting upon myself and other people to look at eXp as an opportunity was like, hey, this is a second in a lifetime opportunity, because the profit share system at Keller Williams really propelled their growth. And a lot of agents that got in on that in the very beginning and really helped grow offices and really expand the model became financially free. And there was a gentleman named Rob Flick who helped grow Keller in the early 2000s, coming out of the 90s. And he was here in my backyard. And you met Rob Flick at the Shareholder Summit, pretty incredible guy. I got the opportunity to collaborate him for years in the very beginning of him growing eXp. And just listening to these guys' stories and listening to, what they had accomplished at other companies and how Glenn Sanford had positioned eXp Realty to do it different this time, which was allowing the agents to share in the big pie, right? The big revenue, the big cash and all that. It had never been done before. And that's why Gene Frederick had said, you know what, Glenn, you're going to change the world. No one's ever done this. No one's giving agents, half of company dollar. That doesn't even make sense. But what most people don't understand was Glenn Sanford went through a crash in 2009. At the end of 2008, he had already left Keller. He was independent, and they were on track to do about 80 million in sales volume that year. And right at the end of the year in October, when Lehman Brothers announced the bankruptcy and then just the collapse of the financial markets, in the early 2000s, Glenn Sanford was operating in several markets. And as any savvy entrepreneur is going to do, they're going to look to start cutting expenses. Where can they start slashing their costs? And the first thing they did was shut all the offices down. And that was the genesis of what became eXp Realty. Was Glenn, as a broker owner, operating in multiple markets around the country, how can he build a sustainable business that can last through any type of recession? And COVID was the first real world example of what the vision that Glenn had a decade prior. And actually going into COVID, when everything started shutting down, we were already positioned for that because it happened to Glenn a decade prior. And we actually thrived in 2020. We had our best years ever while the world is melting down. We were literally making more money than we'd ever made in our lives. And it was a very special time for the folks that had believed in the company and had chose to build with the company. So, the equity component is built in, meaning for you just being a productive agent and selling real estate, you're getting shares of stock awarded to you. And you're also participating, if you choose, in an equity program, which is a direct purchase. Similar to a 401k where you put in a little chunk of money and they give you a little discount on the stock there. So that's been great. Just building equity with a publicly traded company. And that was kind of my thought process, is I can be, a 100% owner in my tiny little world, or I can have a slice of a multi-billion-dollar pie. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for leverage. I was looking for ways to build income outside of what I could do with my two hands. And they were really casting that vision, Glenn Glenn and then Gene and Rob, because they started here in Texas, and that's where I'm licensed. And it was just that vision of like, look, guys, this is a very radically different business model that puts the agent first and benefits the agent number one. And there's a lot of incredible companies out there. And I like to say that brokerages serve your needs for where you are in your life and your career and where you're looking to go. And at some point, if you're at a place where you can't feel like you can grow further or collaborate, you're going to be looking for other avenues. So that first year, I was so busy with my other companies, and I wasn't really focused on building eXp, which is through recruitment, right? That's how real estate brokerages grow, is they recruit agents. So instead of having a team leader in the office, that's the one point of contact that recruits everybody, Glenn said, hey, you know what? We're going to let everybody recruit and everybody participate kind of in the royalties, so to say. Everyone, especially agents, everyone understands how royalties are paid out, right? You close a transaction, there's a 5% royalty that goes straight to the owners. That's called money off the top. So Glenn said, you know what, we're going to allow agents to participate and pay them off the top, which had never been done before. And the agents that kind of got their head around that and started running with it just took off. So they put their foots down on the gas, Rob, Gene, Pat, my sponsor and everyone. And they all built multi 7-figure incomes within just a few years. And it just blew my mind because I was watching this happen with my colleagues, coworkers, and co-collaborating agents. And I guess in that second year, third year is when I really said, okay, I need to focus on this. So, I brought in a couple agents. It's a 7-tier system that came directly from Keller. Keller was the first company to ever do this. And they don't get the credit for it, but they're the ones to do it. That helped propel their growth. Glenn said, you know what, that worked really well for them. We're going to do that in our business model, but we're going to give the agents more money. They're going to basically pay us 50% of company dollar. So half of every dollar that goes into the company gets distributed back to the agents, and that's very powerful. That second year, my organization grew to about 25 agents. It's just a network of agents that I get paid an override on every transaction they close. And it wasn't any life-changing money or anything like that. It was like you'd pay my cell phone bill, and it was cool. And then in that third year, it really started to accelerate. Next thing you know, it's like, man, my mortgage is getting covered every single month by this company. This is incredible. So that belief rose, and then just the depth of my knowledge had continued to grow and expand. And then let's fast forward up to 2022, last year. I closed 7 transactions in July. It was a very hot year up until when interest rates started to double. And as you remember, Laura, within a 30 to 60 day time frame, interest rates went from 3 to 6 to 7%, and the whole market just kind of came to a screeching halt. And I closed 1 transaction from July till the end of the year, and I was tracking 4 to 5 transactions a month every single month, just because the momentum I had, the market was really hot anyway. And when that cliff fell off, right, when the market shifted and buyers got really scared and everything just kind of changed, I had a distribution coming in every 30 days from eXp through the revenue share model from the efforts that I put in for helping the company grow over the last several years. So it didn't matter if I closed anything or not. And now I actually get paid on more transactions per month than I could have ever imagined. It's really hard for other agents kind of outside looking in to kind of get their head around it, what's really happening within the company. But it's like the only thing that I can really describe it as is, Laura, like let's say you and I partnered and we're going to go in and let's say we're going to buy a franchise or we're going to open up an office and we're going to start recruiting to that office. And then 5 years later, we have 1,000 agents, and every time one of those agents closes the deal, you and I get a small commission split, override, royalty, whatever you want to call it. It's revenue. So today, my business is actually, I'm getting paid on over 400 transactions every single month, regardless if I sell a piece of real estate or not. So with the office and network that I've built within the company, it's completely set me financially free on a level I never thought was possible, because in my first decade of real estate, we were stacking cash flow. I was raising capital, but there was always some type of bottleneck. We were generating $25,000 a month in our rental and our note portfolio, but after office expenses and everything else, there just really wasn't much money to net back down to myself for me to pay my bills. So it was very difficult to scale that. And as you know, Laura, some wealthy individuals, the way that you make big money is through companies, right? You can't sell your way to multi-million dollars. Some agents can, it's very rare, but the bulk of people really can't do that. You got to invest in a company, build a company, sell a company, something that's larger than life, something that you can be involved in that is bigger than what you can do with your 2 hands. And that's what I built with eXp Realty. So my organization today, I don't know, it's around 2,700 agents worldwide now. And every time I look in the back office, there's, 500 transactions in process. And that's like every single 30 days, there's, 400 to 500 transactions that are just in process getting closed out. It's just been phenomenal, Laura.
Wow. That is really amazing, Ian, what you have built up. And me being a relatively newer agent to eXp, as well as just a really a little bit newer agent as well. A lot of hesitation that I see from agents, right, that are just getting into the business, getting their feet wet, starting learning about the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're so focused on the transactional working inside the business, right? But when they think and they hear about recruiting, they feel a negative type of way about it. Can we talk about a little bit about the career transition of an agent, right? So you go from most typical, right, as an agent, you work as an agent for a while, you learn everything, you're really good at it, and all of a sudden you want to outgrow your brokerage that you're currently at. So what typically next is what the agent gets a broker license, right? And then they become a broker owner and so on. But can you talk a little bit about, the recruitment aspect as well as building your agent business to eventually get yourself out of that business as an agent, so you're not, showing homes all the time. You're not,
Yeah,
burns you out, right?
absolutely. Yeah. I have an infograph here. It's interesting. You have individual, just you touched on individual production, and then you can scale into team building. And then maybe you can outgrow a team or expand that team. Then you grow into, brokerage building. You're looking for leverage. And then you can scale and grow and expand a brokerage, which and in turn can really position you for exponential for revenue. So I get it. When you're new to the business or making a transition from one industry into the next, which I very vividly remember making that transition. It was brutal the first few years. Just the focus of just making money is number one. And then over time, you start selling. You become whatever top producer means to you. 25 homes a year, 50 homes a year. And then you start putting a team around you. So there's no limit to your income. It's just your ambition and what you can put together. But what Glenn had built with eXp Realty is he built a platform for agents to essentially partner. So it's a mindset game. It really is. It really comes down to the individual. What I've learned is most real estate agents are not entrepreneurs. They were in a 9-to-5 job and they were just wanting more freedom, more whatever what the industry can provide for you. And then the challenge of making that happen and understanding it's a sales business and you've got to really hone marketing and negotiating and all these other things that kind of come around with real estate. But most agents just get pigeonholed and get stuck in just the sale. I got to get my next check, next commission check, next commission check. And even a lot of producers, like I know personally, they make a lot of money, but they're miserable, right? They're getting pulled in all these different directions every day. And as you know, we collaborate about this on a weekly basis of scaling and really identifying what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and hiring out and putting admins and virtual assistants in place to really help you scale. But most agents aren't thinking that way. They just want to sell real estate. So when someone approaches them about a different model, it's automatically like, oh no, I'm not interested. Just like, why would you not be interested in a brokerage model that's minting millionaires? It's turning real estate agents into multimillionaires. You're not interested in that story? So I don't understand it. Obviously, I wouldn't even say eXp has a bad connotation. It's the thought process and the way that real estate agents perceive other things that are happening in the market. So I don't even really think that there is a bad perception. It's just all on an individual basis. Either you're open to looking at it or you're not. However, just being an individual agent isn't going to get you really where you want to go, right? Because the more real estate you sell, the more your time gets stretched. And then trying to leverage and bring people in, it's difficult to build and scale. And that's essentially what eXp has done, is it's provided a platform for agents to grow and scale their businesses in ways they never thought possible, ways that I never thought possible. And just like you, Laura, I never thought outside my local market before eXp Realty. It didn't even comprehend. Mm-hmm. Rarely or occasionally I would refer an agent, like in California. Okay, I'd go to Google and I'd type in the city and I'd try to sift through and find a couple. And my criteria back then was like, whoever answers the phone is going to get the referral. Because if you're answering a phone number from out of state, you're probably serious about your business. But I guess the takeaway here is being able to position yourself as a real estate agent to partner with the owners that built the company and actually receive equity and receive cash flow for your contribution to the company. So you can build that network of agents, that residual, cash flow every single month. It's very powerful. There is no doubt about it. So it really comes down to the individual of what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and does this company align with the vision of what you're trying to accomplish? Hope that answers your question. I know I kind of got off a little bit, but
it does, yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about how eXp is agent centric, but us in eXp Realty, we're seeing a lot of brokerages and brokers moving their companies over. Right. So can you talk a little bit about that? Why are so many brokers folding their companies and coming to partner up with eXp?
Starting and running an independent brokerage or even a franchise brokerage is pretty difficult. There's no doubt about it. There's some challenges there. And it's this, there's a lot of expenses, and most independent brokerages or independent brokers that we see that are joining, they've built some great businesses, but if they take their personal production out of their offices, then they're not profitable. So EXP is set up for especially high achievers and especially people that sell a lot of real estate to really give them a platform to launch and explode their growth. So we are seeing this mass, I wouldn't even call it, say, exodus. It's just this mass adoption of what this type of model can do, because now a cloud-based, agent-centric, agent-owned, revenue-sharing model, that is the norm now. And now we're seeing that being pulled in different directions, and a lot of other companies trying to recreate what Glenn and EXP had already pioneered over the last decade and a half. But it gives owners the opportunity to provide for their agents. Like, there's two types of broker owners. There's the broker owner that is let's just call it an egomaniac, and they don't really care about their agents, right? We've seen them, we've done deals with them. I know them personally, and they're going to stay in their lane regardless. They're going to die on their own sword. They're a private company. They'll never tell you they're not profitable. They'll never explain that to you. And then on the flip side of that, you have team leaders and individuals that are highly, highly motivated to see other people win and really care about their agents and their staff and all that. So what EXP provides for an independent broker, let's say with 100 agents, is that particular broker can't provide for their agents. They're either at a flat fee model, they have a 90-10, some type of small split. They just don't have the capacity to offer their agents, compared to what EXP can offer their agents. Retirement planning, let them build their own teams, right? So most agents, when they join a team, they're joining a team to learn from the professionals, the people that are doing it at a high level. Once they get out on their own, they want to go on their own because they want to keep more of their money. And then they also may want to build their own teams and grow and expand that way. So the platform of eXp Realty, it provides the single agent, the husband and wife team, the small team, the large team, the independent broker. It provides them a platform to, number one, slash their expenses, get rid of all the liability and overhead, have an incredible training program built in that they don't have to manage or hire or pay for, the back end systems, the processing, all that, and then the expansion model of how we're able to expand in other markets and how we're able to sponsor agents in any market in the world that we're doing business. There is just hands down no comparison to what eXp Realty can offer a brokerage and their team versus of what that broker can offer themselves to their agents. So you got the egomaniac, they're not coming over, but you got the agents and brokers that have built small businesses that want to take it to the next level and want to see their people thrive. And that's what eXp offers. It offers every single agent in their organization, that their independent broker, it offers them the opportunity to build equity and build their own team within the brokerage. So that's why we've seen so many big companies join. I just saw a headline where a broker of like 400 agents have joined. The biggest independent broker in the United States, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago now, Revelation Real Estate out of Arizona. They joined. They were 900 agents, $6 billion in volume in 2018 or something like that. And we got to interview them, Chuck Fazio, and we said, Chuck, why did you wrap up your independent brokerage and join EXP? He goes, I couldn't duplicate what I did. He goes, there's people all around the country that would love for Revelation to come to their state. He goes, but I can't physically do that again. He goes, I can't physically scale my Arizona brokerage to 9,000 agents. We're at 900. How can I do that? eXp Realty provided a platform for big time influencers and big time producers to grow and expand their businesses. So most people don't know this, but EXP allowed Chuck Fazio to park his license at eXp Realty for 2 years under the radar while they were still operating Revelation Real Estate. And he started recruiting agents to eXp Realty, and they made a transition. They only had 300 agents transition with them when they partnered with eXp Realty as a broker associate at that point. And now today they have literally over 9,000 agents. So they were able to grow and expand far beyond what they could create in their own local market, which is incredible what they created in their local market. So that's what we're seeing is the growth and expansion, the reduction of liability and overhead and everything else that comes along with being a broker owner. The agent, we have all that in our hands now without the headache.
Right. We have the designated managing brokers for each state, and that totally frees up these brokers, these managing brokers, that, from all those liabilities, responsibilities, and they can focus on what they really like doing, which is making money
Yeah,
selling the real estate.
that's right.
And like you mentioned, a lot of these brokers are coming over because they have the abundance mindset. EXP is one brokerage over 50 states, 20 plus markets, and that's what EXP is allowing them to do: expand their business beyond just their state border, their city border, whatever, right?
That's right.
So that's really amazing right there. So, I mean, that's basically all the questions I have for you today. But anything else you want to add about EXP or your experience here, why agents should consider dealing?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things, one of the biggest takeaways that I've had over the years is what you can't see from the outside looking in is the relationship capital within the company, right? Laura, you've really over the last year really got to experience that, going to the events and just seeing how so many people that are achieving at a high level are so humble and willing to share and willing to help you, which is radically different than, the Keller Williams brokerage that I went to. There was a team meeting or a brokerage meeting every Friday, and there would be a handful of top producers, and they didn't really want to talk to the young agents, right? They would come in and they were out. So no one in that office had an incentive of helping anybody, nor were they going to open up their playbooks. So from the outside looking in, there's a very special collaboration and culture within the company, right? We own this company together. So your success is my success. If you're winning, I'm winning. If you're not winning, I'm not winning. So just from outside looking in, it's radically different. And then obviously there's noise. There's noise every day. There's noise in every industry. There's noise about whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to grow and expand and reduce your liabilities and reduce your overhead, then eXp has already laid it out. Meaning we've already pushed through all the growing challenges that now are, I wouldn't even call them competitors. I don't necessarily see other brokerages as competitors. The market is so big. And when you have an abundance mindset, right? Collaboration at the top, competition at the bottom, right? People that are winning at a high level and achieving big things, they're not worried about what other companies doing. It's kind of irrelevant at that point. That's what I would say is the biggest takeaway is the people that you will meet at this company that can change the trajectory of your life. And that's continued to happen with myself as I've met more and more people, and I've watched this company evolve over the last 7.5 years. It's incredible what we've accomplished, right? I mean, I don't know the exact terminology because I'm not a stock guy, but EXPI is now an index fund, which is, a testament to how incredible our company is, right? Some of the safe, index funds are the safest companies in the world to invest in. And that wasn't something that we pushed for. We were actually chosen and pulled into that. So I'm proud that I hold equity in one of the safest companies in the world that's profitable, growing, paid agents. Think about this. eXp Realty paid agents and brokers and staff $240 million in equity and revenue share benefits last year. That is unheard of. And it's real. And we're experiencing it. So, man, there's so many dang takeaways. I could keep going forever, but you know what? Time is time is of the essence. We got lives and businesses to get back to. But yeah, man, that's my big takeaway. Just the people collateral at the company is incredible.
Right. I 100% agree with you that, regardless of the brokerage you're with, right, a lot of the brokerages out there, the big ones, they all offer the same thing at the end of the day. They offer technology tools, unlimited training. Everybody's got all the same things, right?
Yeah.
Commission splits, whatever. Those are similar. And like you mentioned, now people are starting to do the revenue share, those things as well. So everything is about the same, but really the difference is the people, the culture, and the collaboration within it. And just in my short time, I've only been with eXp 2 years, but I've been plugged in and I've been going to the major events, and I've been meeting other individuals, other people from large teams, large, really successful agents. And just, it's one of those things where you only know what you know. And once you're exposed to like, man, this guy's selling 100 houses a year, and, or this guy's like a eight-time icon agent, like, how is this even possible? Or even a person like Ian, you've got 2,000 people in your revenue share. That is incredible. Like, if they can do it, they're just regular people, and they're willing to share their journey, their experience, their tips, their strategies with you. And it's just so giving and rewarding just to be a part of such an amazing culture and company. So
yeah, I agree.
That's it. Yeah, and I appreciate you so much, Ian, for your time. And like you said, let's get back to work, and I'll see you hopefully in Vegas. You're coming to eXpCon?
I'm not. My
You're
my
not?
wife put the kibosh to that. I was trying to get the grandma. I was like, we're gonna fly to grandma. We're gonna fly. You know, da, da, da. She was just like, no, we're not going to Vegas. Not taking the 4-year-old with us.
No, no worries. Next time I'm in Dallas, I'll reach out to
Yes,
you. And,
100%.
all right. Thank you, Ian. Have a great
All
one.
right, take care.